2. It is theme 2. Yesterday we have discussed about the two things. One we call it as what? One we call it as the latitude, and the second one we call it as what? Second one we call it as longitude. Now in discussing about latitude and longitude, we have discussed about based on our blueprint. Now what is our blueprint here? Now blueprint here is first one I've said it is introduction, and the second one we call it as what? The salient features, and the third one we call it as uniqueness. Now introduction of latitudes. It's an imaginary line which is plotted in what manner? Horizontal manner. In the same way, what is longitudes? It is the vertical manner. It is the vertical imaginary line which is plotted in what manner? The vertical manner we call it as the longitudes. Okay, now first we have discussed this, and the second one with respect to our salient features. Now what is our salient features we have discussed with respect to the latitudes? And the first one we call it as number. Now how many number? It is 181 in number, 90 plus 90 plus 1. Whereas here, how many number? It is, we call it as 360, maximum 360. Maximum 360. Sir, Inge sir, Andre, it is 179 to the east, excluding 0, 179, and 179 to the west, and 0 plus 180, the same one. Total is the 360. Maximum is 360. And the second one, does the length remain same? The length of latitude remains same, Andre. No, it is different. Now, maximum at equator, minimum at where? Minimum at pole, or we call it as the 90 degrees. Yes or no? What about here? What about here? Don't you think length remains same? The length remains same. What about the distance? It is, distance is same. Whereas here distances, it is different. And maximum at equator, it is minimum at poles. We have seen this. And followed by this, we have discussed about the most important one. The most important one we call it as Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. It is Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, the North Pole, and the last one we call it as what? South Pole. Whereas here the most important one we call it as 0 degree, we call it as prime meridian, and the second one we call it as 180 degrees, we call it as international dateline, and the last one we call it as what? The last one we call it as Indian Standard Time, and that Indian Standard Time we call it as 82.5 on the karithi. And that 82.5 we call it as, we have a single, it is Indian Standard Time, and that we call it as IST. Yes or no? But Northeast is demanding a separate, it is time zone. But as of now we have only one. But the demand is coming from where? Northeast. We have discussed all the things, and we have also discussed about what is the application of latitudes and what is the application of longitudes. I hope the revision with respect to our last class, it is 100% clear. Yes or no? Online first? Yes. Yes, Riya, perfect. Yes. Good evening. These are the major one. Now, sir, if this is clear, now we need to start about